All right, crew, welcome back into another video. We have a Clickup training today, and honestly, there's going to be multiple Clickup trainings when it comes to what I'm going to show you guys today. And I have a brand new space here, blank canvas. We are going to start from scratch today and building out what I consider the appropriate Clickup setup for a social media marketing agency. And we're just going to jump straight into it today, but I want to show you guys just some of the features, some of the things that you should probably know about when it comes to just getting started in your space. So if you're doing this, this is going to be more of like a follow along. So it's not going to be a super fast training. These are going to be trainings that are going to stack on top of each other. But let's kind of just start from the home screen here, guys. So as you get into your Clickup space, your home screen is kind of made for specifically tasks that are assigned to you, right? And you can see here everything's kind of blank right now inside of here because we don't have any spaces set up quite yet. But you can kind of come through here, and this is like what you consider like your home base, or like anything that is related to you inside of Clickup will all come here. And so if you're looking for a place to kind of like work out of every single day, this would be your spot right here. And what's really cool about the home space is that you can add in different cards, you can take things away. I have most of them added in already, but there's one down at the bottom here, reminders, that you can add your home screen as well. But this is kind of the basic setup, and you can even integrate your own calendar in here. I would highly recommend that, and I'll just reconnect mine real fast so you guys can kind of see what the calendar feature looks like. Cool. And so we can connect the calendar here, and there's some features here on the calendar side that you can set up. You can do a two-way sync to your Google Calendar. So if you set a calendar date inside of Clickup, it will transfer over into your Google Calendar. Or if you do a Google Calendar setup, it'll transfer over here to your Clickup calendar. So I don't use the Clickup calendar too frequently, but it is kind of nice to have in here. And I'll just refresh the page here. So you can kind of see here, my calendar will populate inside of there. Once again, there's no spaces currently set up inside of this because I do want to take it from a blank template and just show you guys how to build. But just a couple features. If you guys want to make your calendar bigger, you can drag these things down and organize them any way you want. If you want your calendar on the left side, you can move to the left side, wherever you kind of want it. So some cool features there. The home screen is really helpful for like, if you're just like getting your day started and you're like, what the heck do I got to do today? This is a really good place to kind of go to and be like, all right, here's what's assigned to me. This is really good for your team as well to see what's assigned to them for the day, what's due, what's past due, all of that good stuff. So let's go ahead and move into your inbox now. So inbox, you guys, is simply going to be pretty much any type of important notifications that come into your Clickup. Now, I don't use the inbox too much. Typically, I'm just using my home screen, but if you get like messages or specific tasks assigned to you, typically they will come in here. Comments that you're attached to for certain tasks, those all kind of come into this section. But once again, I don't use the inbox super often just because there's a lot that comes in here. But you can customize some of that in this area right here. Okay, so you can customize the importance, and you can kind of toggle on and off things that you want. So like reactions, something that I would probably toggle off. Things that are shared with me, I'd probably have that on, or access request. But you can toggle on things that you find important and that you want inside of your inbox. Personally, the less, the better. That way you're not getting a bunch of stuff inside of your inbox. All right, from there, moving into Docs. Now, Docs has changed completely inside of Clickup. There's a lot of cool stuff, new features. They have these like company wikis, company home, knowledge base, team hub, and I'll share more about this in a future training, but just know that this is where all of your documents will live. If you guys are familiar with Notion at all, this is kind of their competitive feature with Notion, setting up documents inside of the space, and you can really put these documents anywhere you want, and it's really good for standing up company wikis, and I'll do a separate training on how to utilize docs and wikis at some point. Okay. Dashboards is another feature, just kind of going down the list here. The dashboards, I'm not a huge fan of inside of Clickup. Something that I'm actually talking with their team on to help just get better dashboards in place, because if they fix this feature, I think it'd be used a lot more, but they just don't do what you want them to do half the time. So I would just skip over dashboards for the time being, but you can play around with them. You can start them from scratch, or you can see some of the team reporting. I think probably the best one is going to be the time tracking side. So if you guys are doing time tracking, this is a really good dashboard to utilize for it. Outside of that, it's not the best for other reporting or other data that you're trying to store. You're better off using something like Google Sheets and Google Data Studio or another app similar to that. Yeah. And then you have your goals tab here. Now, goals, we don't set too many of these. I know some people that do, but once again, it's kind of like the dashboards feature. It doesn't always do exactly what you want it to do. So I just skip over this one. And then here, there's some more stuff that you can add. This one's pretty cool, this new clips feature. And then let me add in the whiteboards as well. Clips is really cool. It's kind of like their Loom feature, essentially, which is what I'm shooting on right now. But it's essentially their Loom feature. So if you guys are, trying to be scrappy, you're trying not to have a ton of expenses inside of the business, great. Well, Clips is now integrated inside of ClickUp, and what's nice is it all stores inside of ClickUp for you. So you can utilize this feature if you're trying to save a little bit and not have to use a ton of tech. This can be, swapped out for Loom. And then there's the whiteboards feature as well. Whiteboards, once again, I'm a huge fan of Miro. I don't think the whiteboard feature inside of ClickUp will ever match what Miro has built so far, or Lucidchart. But if you're looking for just a basic whiteboard feature, it'll do pretty much whatever you want it to do on that side. It just once again, the functionality is not up to par compared to something like Miro, which is just a whiteboard software. So, and you can get Miro for free as well. But overall, if you're looking for a whiteboard feature, that is available there for you. So let's go into creating some of our first spaces here. And if you're running a marketing agency, this is exactly how I would be setting up all of my spaces. There's 5 main spaces that I'm going to be thinking about when it comes to setting up our ClickUp space here. The first one is going to be internal marketing. When you think internal marketing, this is all the projects, all the things that you need to do in order for you to get clients, okay? So we're just gonna add that and we're just gonna keep it as a blank space. We'll do a starter, and I always keep these tasks here. So if you guys are setting up ClickUp, I almost never change the statuses of our spaces. So it's always to do, in progress, and complete. Now, some people like to do different statuses. This is, for me, the most simplistic thing, and there's different ways. Like if you have like a different pipeline of content, or you're running a creative agency and you're moving things from, say, like pre-production to post-production, there's ways to do that without actually changing the status. So with that being said, I like to do in progress, complete. It just keeps everything very simple, and we'll just go ahead and create that space. Okay, so we have internal marketing. Okay, from there we need to set up a second space here. And that second space is going to be sales, okay? Now, when we think sales, everything that has to do with your guys' internal sales teams, projects that you need to do, CRM, all of that is going to live inside of your sales space. So we'll just go ahead and set that one up. And we're just going to do a standard list in there for the time being. All right, and then number 3 is going to be your fulfillment space. Okay, this is where the day-to-day fulfillment is going to take place. And once again, we're just going to use the starter in the top left, and we're going to create that space as well. Okay, so far we have internal marketing, sales, fulfillment, and we've got 2 more that we're going to do. Next one is going to be finance. And let's go ahead and make that as well. And one more, we're gonna do human resources. Boom. And the starter. Okay, so now you should have 5 spaces inside of here. Now I'm gonna give you guys a little bonus one as well, a 5th space or a 6th space that I would add in, and I'm gonna call this the impact space. Okay, so just impact, and I'll explain this a little bit more in a future lesson. Okay, but these are the main spaces. Oh, you have to upgrade apparently if you want more than 5 spaces. So let's do this. Because this is a starter agency, we can go ahead and just get rid of the human resources side, because chances are you're not going to be utilizing any HR, any hiring in the foreseeable future. And when that time comes, I'll make a training on that one as well. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and just delete this space for the time being so we can add in our impact space, because I think this one will be important as you guys are getting started. Okay, we're just gonna label that impact. All right, so there's our 5 spaces. All right, so diving into the impact space now, this is the first thing that we're going to build out. And you can see inside of here we have the standard list, and we're just going to rename this standard list impact items. Okay. Now, when we think impact items, these are the movers. Okay. Some people call these like objectives, key results. These are going to be the revenue generating items that need to get complete on a regular basis. Now, when I go to set up these impact items, I do use this list view. If you guys want to add different views in, you can click up here in the top right, and you can see there's a bunch of different views that you can utilize, but I like the list format for any time that I'm going to build out my impact items. Now, for this, these are revenue generating items, things that are going to drive revenue into the business. And if they do not reflect on revenue generating items, I'm probably not going to put them on this list. So what we'll do here is that you can see already we have the task name. So let's just put a little test in here. Let's say set up email newsletter. Okay, newsletter. All right, so that'll be our test task here, and then we could start building out our columns inside of this list. Okay, and you can see here we have a due date. So let's say building out our newsletter. We want that done by August 28th. If you want to leave priority, you can. I like to leave this in here because sometimes you have things that are due on the same date, and then we can just prioritize them on what needs to get done first. Okay, so if you want to get rid of priority, you can always hide that column as well. Not always necessary. Now, we'll also want to add in the person in charge of doing this task. So let's go ahead, and this is going to be actually a show and hide field. So if you guys are ever looking for something that doesn't exist, these are the hidden fields that already exist pre-populated inside of any ClickUp task. So a lot of times if you're not finding what you're looking for, you'll need to come in here and actually select it. So assignee will be important. Okay, date closed, date done, date updated, none of those really matter for these types of tasks. If you feel like they're necessary, you can, but for the most part, I leave the rest of these off for the time being. If you're doing time tracking, of course, you can add in time tracking as well. I like to add either drop downs or labels as well, depending on what department we're specifically working on. So we'll add labels here because I like labels as far as tagging features go. Okay, so we'll add in department, and then there's really the 5 main departments that we talked about, which is going to be internal marketing. Then we'll add in another option here. From internal marketing, we go into sales, and then we have fulfillment, and then we also have human resources. Okay, or I'm sorry, finance. We'll keep human resources out for the time being. All right, so we can see here, set up an email newsletter. This is something that I would call a internal marketing activity. This is going to drive business into our doors, right? If we have a marketing list that we can email to, well, we can have some CTAs plugged in there, and we can send emails out to people that would be interested in our services. Okay, so this would be the start of what we call our impact space, and this is high level tasks. Like, this isn't the day-to-day work, like, you know, creating content for your clients or setting up your ad campaigns for clients. That's going to happen completely in a different space, and that will kind of go into the fulfillment space. But like, these are the high leverage activities that you're going to be doing for the business, right? So setting up an email newsletter. Now, we might have to add some subtasks to this as well. So if you guys want to add subtasks, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can click this little arrow here, or you can actually click inside of the task and add them in there. But I like to just click this arrow of, for an email newsletter, there's probably a couple things that we need to do in order for us to set up an email newsletter, right? So first, we need to do our welcome series. And I'm just making this up, by the way, but write welcome series. From there, we need to set up go high level to send the emails. Yeah, we need to import our email list. And we'll say the very last one, I'm just making all of these up. We need to do some of the creative for the email newsletter. There's probably a lot more steps that are involved in that, but that's just a quick example. And that's how you add in some subtasks for your impact items. Okay, now you'll have a list of these, and these might be, 10, 15 high leverage items that you want to get done throughout the month. Sometimes there's only 3 or 4, and that's totally okay. But this is how I would be setting up the highest leverage activities that you could possibly do inside of your impact items. Now, if you guys want to set up some automations here, there are some cool automations that you can set up. If you're going to set up automation specifically in this space, I would probably be looking at anything that's past due, that you get some sort of comment or something along those lines. So if we go over to categories, we can go to dates first, and we can have certain things happen when a due date arrives. Okay, so let's do this real fast. Let's actually just go back to adding an automation. Let's go to dates. Okay, so when due date arrives, that is going to be our trigger. We're going to have something happen. Okay, and let's say for this, we're going to have a comment drop in. And we just got to find comment. You have a little search bar as well you can use. Okay, add a comment. There we go. All right, so let's add this in here. So when the due date arrives, we can add a comment. And you can tag a certain person, or you can just add a comment into that task of this is due, or please check this impact item and complete by today. Okay, something along those lines. All right, and we'll create that automation. So anytime that we reach the due date, it is going to add that comment. So let's do a test fire here. So let's go ahead and set it up for today. Let's add a time of, what time is it right now? 5:21 p.m. Let's just try this, 5:21 p.m. There we go. Let's do 5:22 p.m. All right, here we go. And we'll wait a couple seconds here. Got about 30 seconds. So as we're waiting for that, if you guys have questions on this, feel free to drop a comment inside of the channel. I'm more than happy to answer any questions on your guys' ClickUp setup. But this is a really effective way to kind of set up all of those high leverage activities for the month. And this is what we do every single month when it comes to setting up these impact items. But like, this is the general list right here of things that we're going to start building out inside of this channel. And each week we're going to add on just a little bit more. And it is 5:22 now. Okay, so we should see here as we open up this task, there should be a comment dropping in relatively shortly. Let's go ahead and see if we refresh here, if it pops in. So you can see here the click bot, please check this impact item today and complete by today. Okay, so after a couple of refreshes, you'd see the comment populated here with the click bot, please check this impact item and complete by today. Now you can also have these comments automatically assigned to someone if they do need to check it. So, but you can see here, I can just assign it to myself as well. And you can see here it becomes an action item assigned by comments, and then I can just come here and say, okay, that is completed, thank you, and I've finished this task, and I can just move it to complete, and then resolve all of those items inside of it, because all of those subtasks were inside, and then all of a sudden you see that it disappears. Okay. Now, if you're wanting to see your closed task, you do need to select show closed tasks. Now, I always like to show closed tasks because that way I can kind of just see what gets done for the month, and then you could archive these or move them into maybe a different status. But a lot of times we'll just move these to an archive if for some reason we ever want to bring them back. But that's how you get the show closed to show up, and then from there, if you want them to always show up, if you refresh this, and as you can see here, I come back and then it's gone again. So say you want this to be kind of your default view, you'll see this prompt in the bottom right. And all you have to do is push save as the default view, and it will automatically make the completed stay at the top here. Or you can reorganize these tasks. Sometimes people like their completed to be at the bottom. And we can have the status, we can have the sort by status here. The other way. So instead of ascending, it would be descending, right? And so your to-dos are at the top and your completeds are at the bottom. Now, once again, we do have to save this again, otherwise it won't save there. So that's how you set up the status for a descending view. And if you want to save this for your team, just come into customize and you just toggle on this set as default view, and it prompts you to save it as the default view for everyone as well. So anyone on your team, if you want this to be their view and what they see, then make sure you guys set that as the default view for this specific list. Okay. All right. And I don't want these trainings to be super long because at the end of the day, YouTube likes their retention. If I made this like an hour and a half training, no one would probably watch it all the way through or have the time to watch it all the way through. So we'll keep it to a little bit shorter episode on this one. And then each and every week, we'll come back, we'll add a little bit more to the space and start to build out the ultimate social media marketing agency ClickUp board. That way you guys can see kind of how the build out happens every step of the way. So we'll do a little bit more on the next episode. We'll see you guys over there. Make sure you like, subscribe. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace.